Hello, receiving students, teachers, and 6E. Thank you. You may take your seats. In our last lesson, we looked at flowering plants and their uses. Our recapping question for this morning is, what are some uses of flowering plants? 6E and receiving students, what are some uses of flowering plants? In our last lesson, I gave you an example of a coconut, flowering plant, okay? And I gave you the uses of coconut. Now my question is, what are some uses of flowering plants? Karon?
Beautification.
Again?
Beautification.
Thank you, Karon. Karon said beautification, okay? Very good. We can use flowering plants to beautify our house, or if for a special occasion, we can use flowers to do decorations. Very good. What else? Vanessa?
Eating. Eating.
Again?
Eating.
Eating, or we can use it as food. Very good, okay? Like for example, orange or coconut. And there are many more that you can think of. Very good. In our today's lesson, we will be looking at the topic non-flowering plants. Receiving teachers, we are still looking at the same strand, substrand, and outcome. In our today's lesson, we will be discussing and explaining the diagram of non-flowering plant. That's what we will do for our lesson. Okay, I have something to show you. 6Es and receiving students. What do you see? A plant. Okay, some say non-flowering plant. Does it have flowers? No. Why? Raise your hands up. Okay, you said that it doesn't have any flowers, okay? Why? Receiving students? You can explain to your teacher. Samantha. Thank you, Samantha.
Because it's a non-flowering plant.
Very good. It's a non-flowering plant. That's why it doesn't have any flowers. Very good. Now, not all plants have flowers. The plants that do not have flowers comes under the big group called non-flowering plant. Very good. Okay, I have a table to show you. Receiving students and teachers, it's on the screen. You have the 5 main groups of non-flowering plants, and you have the examples there given on the table. The first plant group we have algae, okay? Algae, and the example of algae is seaweed. The second plant group of non-flowering plants we have mosses and liverworts. And the examples of mosses and liverworts are Funaria moss, and liverwort. The third plant group of non-flowering plants we have ferns. And you have the examples there. Staghorn fern, bird's nest fern, and edible fern. Edible meaning that something that you can eat. Very good. And the fourth plant group of non-flowering plants we have conifers. Conifers. And the example of that plant group we have clinky pine. Clinky pine. And the last plant group of non-flowering plant we have fungi. Fungi. And we have the examples given there. The examples of fungi are mushroom, bread mold, and grille. Okay? Grille. Okay, very good. For our main activity, receiving students and 6E, I will give receiving students, you have a chart here. I'll put it on the whiteboard. I want you to look at the chart, receiving students. Look at the chart carefully, and then I will give you sets of questions. But first of all, receiving students, look at the chart, study the plants on the chart and their names, and after that, I will give you sets of questions to answer. For the model class, I will give you worksheets. This time, we will not be working in groups. Okay, model class, you have the worksheets on the table. Like what the receiving students will do, you have to look at the plants and their names on your worksheet. And then you have the questions given below. Now for the receiving students, I have the instruction and the questions for you. It's on the screen now. Okay, for your activity, the instruction, look at the diagram and answer the following questions. Question number 1, name an example of a fan. Question number 2, what plant group does liverwort belong to? Receiving students, I'll give you 1 minute to copy the instruction and the questions down into your exercise books. Okay, let's move on. Question number 3. Receiving students, what plant group does a mushroom belong to? What plant group does a mushroom belong to? Question number 4. Name an example of a conifer plant. Name an example of a conifer plant. And question number 5. What makes fungi different from all the other plants? What makes fungi different from all the other plants? Okay, these are the 5 questions that you have to answer, receiving students and 6E. Model class, you have the questions on your worksheet. Okay, receiving students and 6E, you may now answer the questions. You have 5 questions there for you to answer. So you may now answer those questions. Questions 1 to 5. Receiving students and 6E, you will look at the diagram. You will look at the diagram and answer the following questions.
This one.
That's clinky pine.
Okay.
mushroom belong to. So we went through the plant groups. I gave you 5 main plant groups. We have fungi. Okay. What else? Okay, so you can say mushroom belongs to fungi. That's the main plant groups. You write fungi. Are we okay? Good. Okay, you just have to look at the diagram. Everything is on the diagram. Just look at the diagram and then you answer the questions. Peasant with grille. Peasant with grille. Okay, receiving students and 6E, we'll go through the corrections of our activity. Let's look at the questions. Question number 1. Name an example of a fan. Name an example of a fan. Emmanuel, thank you.
Christmas fan. Christmas fan. Christmas fan.
Christmas fan, okay? Christmas fan is one of the example of a fan. Very good. Question number 2. Receiving students, you can also give your answer to your teachers. What plant group does liverwort belong to? What plant group does liverwort belong to? Ellen, thank you.
Non-flowering plants. Non-flowering plants.
Good try. Thank you, Ellen. Uvau.
Mosses and liverworts.
Very good. Mosses and liverworts. Okay. Our answer for question number 2, what plant group does liverwort belong to? Your answer is mosses and liverworts. Okay, let's move on. Question number 3. What plant group does a mushroom belong to? Jason?
Fungi.
Again?
Fungi.
Fungi, very good. Mushroom belong to fungi. Okay, that's the plant group. Question number 5. What makes fungi different from, question number 4. Name an example of a conifer plant. Name an example of a conifer plant. Vanessa? Very good. Clinky pine, okay? Clinky pine is one of the example of a conifer plant. And question number 5. What makes fungi different from all the other plants? Madhu.
No chlorophyll.
Very good. Okay. Fungi has no chlorophyll. That's what makes it different from all the other plants. Okay, thank you, receiving students and 6E for your answers. Okay, let's move on to our summary. Our summary for today's lesson. We have 2 summaries on the screen. Non-flowering plants do not have flowers. Non-flowering plants do not have flowers. And the second point there, fungi is a special plant that does not contain chlorophyll. Fungi is a special plant that does not contain chlorophyll. Receiving students and 6E, I will only give you 1 minute to copy down the summary. Okay, let's move on. Our key phrase for today's lesson. What's our key phrase? 6E and receiving students? Non-flowering plants. Very good. Our next lesson topic will be on importance of plants. And receiving teachers, you should have the following materials for your next lesson: live plants, charts, blank papers, and markers. With that, thank you 6E and receiving students for your participation.